I mean, you've had a podcast before. You know the rule, the mouth fist away from the mic ordeal, and I think my ass is a little too loud, so I might. Wait, is that? No, that's maxed. That's maxed. All right, no, we're good.
All right.
Okay. Well, welcome to the show. So
Thank
glad
you.
that you decided to come on. There's no like formal intro. Like it's just we move at the speed of conversation.
That's
That's
great.
what we're doing here.
I love that.
So wait, what were we talking about right before I like fucking spasmed and was like, wait, we gotta start hitting record.
What? I don't remember.
Oh wait,
Travel?
no. We were talking about that, but you had mentioned how, because I had mentioned how my fucking legs were hurting, burning.
Yes, 75 hard.
Yeah. And that you were playing tennis, and like you played 2 straight days, like full sessions of like hard tennis, and I said that shit actually,
Yeah.
that and pickleball fuck you up the most.
I've never played pickleball, and I didn't like. I literally just went 1 hour yesterday morning and 1 hour this morning, and I was just like hitting the tennis ball against the wall of like a handball court because it's just me. But it hurts. Like you don't realize it until afterwards, and you're just like, "Am I just out of shape?"
It's a mixture of your body not being used to it, but it also being a difficult thing to do, especially like high
Yeah.
repetitions.
Yeah.
And like the weirdest places will start hurting for me, like whenever like my fucking wrist or
Exactly.
my elbow. I'm like,
so
what the?
weird.
It's like, I guess it's because your body's not used to doing that like torquing motion all the time.
Yeah.
Even though it's so minimal, like one swing, I feel like over time, like 2-3 hours of that shit, you're gonna start.
It's intense.
Yeah.
I don't know. And like my sister, now that she lives in Florida, like she and her friends will go out and like play pickleball outside. I'm like, in the Florida humidity, you guys will play for like 2 hours. Like I can't even do 1 hour in the morning here before the sun is high up.
Yeah, no, that shit
I
is
don't like it.
that shit's tough. I just remembered I forgot to do something. Oh my goodness.
What'd you forget?
All right, I gotta put this bitch in airplane mode, and then so no one interrupts the footage. Okay, let me do that real quick.
All right.
So the Florida humidity is a real bitch. Yeah, it is real.
Yeah.
It's a real motherfucker.
I hate it.
It's crazy, especially like this time of year. June, July, August is miserable.
Oh my God.
Miserable. The whole summer is.
Awful. It's just miserable any time of the year. I went to a beach wedding last year. I hated it. I love my cousin. God bless her and her husband. But that beach wedding was one of the worst weddings I've ever been to because it was so hot.
What time of year was it?
Like May. Mid-May, end of May.
No, it starts getting.
It's
That's
the-
when the heat
it's
starts
swampy.
ramping up. Like around this time of year, basically.
Yeah,
right
pretty
now.
much.
It's like that's when shit starts getting real down there.
I just got back last week and I'm like still nursing sunburns. It was bad.
I actually was in Florida in May too, and I played. That's where I played pickleball for the first time in my like life.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize because I thought it was like, I'm like, this is such a small court, whatever. It's not gonna. And it was in the Florida sun, dude. I literally felt like I was gonna pass out. No lie.
You get cooked there.
I was getting fucking oven
physically
roasted.
and geographically, just like climate wise.
It's crazy. It's absolutely
burnt.
nuts. It's absolutely nuts. I definitely did not appreciate that level of humidity for sure, and
I
the
hate it
UV.
there.
I got a nice tan though, so I don't get burned as much. So that's
No,
cool.
my family calls me New York cream cheese because I'm pale.
I'm fucking deceased.
We went.
That is so foul and creative as fuck.
Okay, well, because
Who said this? Who said this? Who said
my
this?
dad started
Your
it.
dad? Yo, your dad is a funny dude.
He was. Now he's 6 feet under.
Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. Holy whoa. Yo, hold up. Someone get the fucking protractor, because that bitch took a 180 degree sharp turn. I'm sorry. Can we? What? I didn't see anything on social media about this. I'm so sorry to hear
It
that.
happened like 2 years ago. He died of
my-
like stage 4 cancer. It's
Oh
fine.
my gosh.
I told you we got a lot of curveballs in this
This
episode.
literally just it's gotten so much darker progressively.
No, so he started the joke because he would always get a farmer's tan from driving his taxi, and he would be dark up until his shoulders and then pasty in the middle. So then whenever we would go to Florida and see his brothers and his family and everything, because a lot of his family is down there, and my mom's only sister in America is there. So whenever we go anywhere, Florida's like the vacation spot. Every time we would go, he would pull the dad joke, the New York cream cheese is coming to town. And a few years ago, I remember someone had just continued carrying on the joke because we went to the beach and one of my cousins was going to hang out with us. And he was like, yeah, I'll meet you guys there. And then we kept calling him. We're like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? He's not answering his phone. And then he shows, like, he literally just walks up to us on the stand. He's like, what's up, guys? They're like, where have you been? He's like, my phone died. I didn't have a charge in the car. And they're like, how did you know where we were? He's like, I saw Alex in the water. Because I was so pale. I'm just reflecting the waves.
No.
You can laugh. That's the point.
Let me tell you something. No, let me tell you something. The reason I'm not laughing because that's fucking hilarious. That's actually such a beautiful way. Like, you're remembering your father in that way. That's super beautiful.
Oh,
you know?
Humor, I feel like
that is the best way to deal with things, I think.
It's
one of the best. I mean, that's how I do it.
I was thinking about this on the way here because I'm like, what are we going to talk about? Like, because we haven't seen each other since college.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of things have happened. And so I'm like, what has happened? Like, I lost a parent. What else have I done? I started my own business. A lot of things that kind of carried over from, like, things that I started doing back when we used to go and do, like, photo shoots and stuff, you know?
Yeah, you've definitely always been, like, it's so funny because you were saying before, you're like, oh, I don't think I'm an interesting person. You literally are one of the most interesting people. How many, in removing your father from this equation, because that's something that's super,
that's like, this is a different story.
That's a different thing. But, like, the stuff that you've done, meaning, like, the initiative you've taken after college, like, I always knew that you were, like, a hustler for sure and, like, a very driven, ambitious person, because you would approach me and we would talk about just, like, these things while we were hanging out, how you wanted to start kind of like a tourism, remember, like, or having certain spots. You had your food Instagram for a while, so you've always had, like, projects going on involving creativity and business. Mm-hmm. And then now it makes so much sense that you're doing what you're doing. Yeah. What we're going to talk about in a bit with your, you launching your own business. Yeah. I mean, dude, you're doing shit at fucking 2-3 years removed from college that motherfuckers don't do until their 40s, if anything, I feel 30s.
Like I also have a lot of imposter syndrome for it. Because, like, anyone can do what I did and, like, make the website and the Instagram and, like, start talking to brands and stuff. And it's like, there's a lot. I feel like I don't have a lot to show for the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes. And I think that can be said for anything that's, like, worth doing, I guess.
Yeah.
And also, while you were saying that, I forgot I also got my tour guide license, which is still processing. So hopefully the New York City Department of Labor can, like, send that over this month.
These fuckers need to get on their shit.
Yeah. That was fun, though.
What, the...
It's like the DMV, and you have to take a test of, like, 150 questions about New York City history that no one cares about.
Can you give me, like, a fun fact right now?
There was one question that, like, there was like this architecture. They asked so many questions about, like, the architecture, like, who designed this, who painted this, who did that. And McKim, Mead and White was, like, these, like, white architecture brand, like, that 3 old white men started, and they constructed everything.
Okay.
And Stanford White, which was one of them, he constructed, like, the Washington Square Arch, Madison Square Garden, like, a bunch of other stuff that's still here today.
Okay.
He died in his 50s. This was not on the test. I just fell down a Wikipedia rabbit hole because it was like, who shot him? He died on one of the architecture things that he designed because he was shot by his...
employee.
No.
Ex-wife.
He died... No, it was worse. He was accused of drugging and taking advantage of under legal age woman, and her fiance shot him on, like, the top of Madison Square Park or something like that, like, on one of the hotels he designed.
Okay, so like rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say rightfully so, but, like, if that's true, if he actually did do that, he deserved it.
He did. But the Washington Square Arch is nice, so we forget about that.
It is. So let's just remove that dark piece of...
But
there is a lot of dark history in the city, too. Like, I know that the Brooklyn Bridge... head engineer, head architect, or something, whatever, one of those positions. Didn't he die and his wife carried out the rest of the construction of the bridge, right?
And people didn't think it was safe. So that the year that it opened, someone caught her high heel in between the wooden slats. Because you walk on the Brooklyn Bridge, it's, like, old. Yeah. And there's wood, and you can see through the wood, like, there's water. And so people were freaking out because it was, like, the longest... I forget the type of architecture it is. Steel, cast iron, whatever it was. But, like, one of the longest bridges at the time when it was open.
Suspension?
Probably. And so she got her high heel stuck in the, like, her heel broke in between the wooden slats. She screamed. People thought the bridge was falling, and 11 people got trampled to death, and nobody wanted to walk the bridge. And so they got like a bunch of elephants from P.T. Barnum's circus, the guy from The Greatest Showman. He was a real dude. He had a circus in like downtown Manhattan. They got a bunch of elephants and marched it over the bridge to show that it was safe. Because they're like, we just spent millions of dollars on this bridge and no one wants to walk on it because some lady broke her shoe.
So you're telling me because of one dumbass screaming and overreacting to a broken fucking heel,
Yeah.
11 people died?
I don't know if it was 11 people or they marched over 11 elephants over the bridge. 11 is a significant number, but I know people were trampled to death.
Okay, so even we don't have to even know the cool
numbers.
number would be cool.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
legit number would obviously be interesting.
I'll probably look it up.
But the fucking feel free if you want to go on your phone. There's there's no
Find
rules
it.
here. There's no rules here.
Let me find it.
But like the fact that some like people died because of like someone just screaming, that's insane.
Yeah, I do that spiel on like all of my Brooklyn Bridge tours. All 7 of them.
7? You've done it 7 times?
Here's the thing. I've done unofficial tours, and I got the sightseeing license, like the tour guide license, because I wanted to start charging people for all the knowledge I have about the city.
Yeah, of course. As you should.
So I'll probably just start a tour guide business this summer, too.
You always were very knowledgeable about, like, you showed me that burger place that's like, it's like a speakeasy burger vibe, like the hidden in the hotel.
Yeah, the burger.
Is it in a hotel or just
burger joint? It's literally in a hotel. Yeah.
But it's like behind a very narrow door with like a curtain, and there's like one sign,
Yeah.
but it's unmarked.
It's
so it's
really
very
sus.
low key. Yeah.
I'm trying to find it. It's a cable stayed / suspension bridge. It was the longest suspension bridge in the world at the time of opening.
You want to turn this like this? You see how I have it? Oh, other way. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah. There
Alright.
we go. There we go.
I'm trying to find the history on it. I don't think people care about this though.
No. What do you mean? Go ahead. We could. We got a bunch of time. We're only 9 minutes in. It's the nature of these beauties, you know.
Oh my God, the Wikipedia article is huge though. It's fine. But what have you been up to?
I've just been up to doing this, trying to get this together. I mean, so recently I would say my life has been mostly about, I'm trying to focus a good amount of my mental energy on like my health. I've been taking jiu-jitsu classes. I was taking jiu-jitsu for about like 8-9 months, and then I've taken a 2-month break because I had to travel, and my schedule got like busy going to a bunch of different places, so I wasn't here. So like, why the fuck would I pay for a membership?
Yeah.
It's expensive too. Like, it's not cheap.
It is.
You know, so if you go to like a legit spot, it's not like super expensive, but it's, for what it is, I think it's reasonably priced. But it's an investment, obviously, because you're learning like a useful skill. But I've been doing that, doing this podcast, trying to do it more consistently, and then a bunch of like little mini trips. I would say like most memorable shit was probably from traveling, and then also like moving into my first apartment and stuff like that,
Yeah.
or out of the house for the first time.
Yeah.
So,
What's been your favorite trip in the past 2 years, or like post-pandemic world, or top 3? Is that a hard question?
No, number 1 is easily Iceland.
Ooh, I've always wanted to go to Iceland.
Number 1, you need to go, but I don't think. Sorry, did I just spit on you? I don't think the fucking like, what type of weather person, like what's your favorite season? This is an important question.
I don't know. I feel like I've traveled during all the seasons, so I don't have a preference.
Okay, I don't mind cold.
Yeah,
I really don't
cold.
mind cold. I went in the winter and I loved it.
Okay.
But a lot of the group that I was with, I went with like 12 fucking people, or like 9 people. A lot of the group felt that it was a little too cold, and especially the thing that really messed with us, and the freaky thing was the winter time difference of night and day, like how much you spend in darkness versus in daylight.
Because it gets really dark there
You
during
get
the winter
4
too.
hours of sunlight. I'm talking like you wake up
It's
at
like
9.
vampire hours.
It's crazy.
That's
Like,
crazy.
I did not expect it to be, like, I thought it would be dim at like
Yeah.
6, 7, not nighttime. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, sun rises at I think it was like 12 or 11, and then it would set at 3, 4.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time is just pitch black.
And then like summertime, people need blackout curtains.
Yeah.
Because it's just daytime the
The
whole
direct
time.
opposite. It's crazy.
I don't know how people can live there. Iceland people, tune in. How is it living there?
I loved it. I really loved it. I could honestly,
You could see
no
yourself living
lie,
there?
like no cap. If somehow someone were to like, or if I was younger, if I would have looked into some exchange program, so they do these fucking programs,
Yeah.
like nonprofits and stuff like that. I would have been down to spend like 6 months to a year in Iceland for sure. It was really beautiful. Like, you gotta go. The food also amazing.
What kind of food is there?
It's
What's
like
Icelandic cuisine like?
Traditional Icelandic cuisine is kind of crazy. Like, I ate some kind of
Like fish.
yeah, fish for sure. Other ocean creatures
All right.
that people are gonna get pissed about that. I ate whale and puffin.
Interesting.
Because that's part of the local cuisine. Like, they've been eating that since they settled there.
Yeah.
Like, these people, right? So I was like, why not? Fuck it. And it was at like a local, kind of well-known like bar pub, not a pub, but like a bar.
Yeah.
In Reykjavik, and it was a really fun experience.
Okay.
It was just like a memorable one. The whale was not the best, but the puffin was delicious.
What's the texture? Is it like really gamey or really?
It's gamey, and it just tastes very like iron rich. The one I had was like smoked whale, so it was very like minerally and iron, like heavy metal tasting.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like blood.
Yeah, like that was my first thought, like just really bloody.
Yeah, like no. You want to hear my unfiltered opinion, like what I
Yeah.
told? I was with Hannah, my girlfriend, and I was like, this tastes like it tastes like period blood. Like, it had like a funk, but it was bloody, and I was like, ugh.
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't do it.
That's the thing. When I went to Korea, there were certain places where like blood sausage, was it Korea? I don't remember, but like blood sausage was a big thing. And I feel like I'm fairly adventurous when it comes to food, but there are a few things I won't do. I won't do chicken feet just because of the cartilage.
What?
I can't. I've never had it. I don't think I could stomach it.
So are you a texture person? I feel like you're if you don't like cartilage.
I feel like that's a texture thing to me. What else? The seafood or like octopus where it's like still alive in the plate when you eat it.
The moving thing would be kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that.
Was there someone eating it and you like they offered you and you're like, no,
Yeah,
I can't.
I'm like, I
For
can't
real?
do this. Yeah.
Oh my god. Was it like a local or a friend of yours?
It was a friend of mine, but they were Korean, and they were like, yeah, well, try it. It's really good. I'm like, I can't stomach it. Like, there's a Romanian delicacy that I used to have as a kid. Oh, my God. Piftia. It's called piftia, but it's literally like meat jello. It's
Okay.
it's just chunks of meat encased in the gelatin of the meat. And it's typically served cold. It's nasty.
Isn't there a Russian dish that's similar to this?
It is. I feel like Eastern Europeans have the same thing.
No, not the same. I'm not. Obviously, there's like differences, but
Yeah.
like, what is it not like?
It literally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen this before.
feel
Can
like it's
you
a
look
Russian
up
thing.
what the Russian version of that is?
Russian meat jelly.
I've had this.
My search history is gonna be really weird.
Russian meat jelly.
It's not showing up.
Nothing.
The Safari won't work.
Oh my
Putin's
God.
trying to censor
Where's my
it.
fucking
Russian holodets? Pork aspic holodets, student. I don't know.
Holodiet?
Yeah,
I think
it's like
that.
it's a Slavic thing.
It's
Yeah.
that. Okay, so I had that, and so I'm gonna guess it's similar to the Romanian dish.
Yeah.
In terms of like texture.
Yeah.
Because that's pork. What's the Romanian dish use?
Pork. It's the same thing. I
Okay.
feel like it's the same thing, different language.
But the picture you showed me before actually looked more bussin' than the one you just showed me. Like, I would eat it. Like, I'm a very adventurous eater. I kind
Yeah.
of fucked with it. You did like it or
I
didn't
think
like it?
I did like. There was a lot of things I used to have as a kid that I just won't have now. Like
Oh, interesting.
or like
Okay.
there's a lot of things that I hated as a kid, but I've warmed up to now. You know,
Was
like
it stuff that your like family liked and they were like try it and you're
Yeah.
like no?
I find myself eating a lot less Romanian food now that I'm older, much to the disdain of my mother, because she's always like about home cooking and stuff like that, and I'm like, I feel like I'm either just sick of Romanian food or I just like want to keep trying new things.
Well, I'm assuming you ate nothing but that growing up, right?
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird because it's like half the time it would be Romanian food, half the time it would be like public school lunches or like American snacks and things like that.
Okay.
'Cause I was born and raised here, so I had like the New York upbringing, but like Romanian parents or Romanian grandmother who only spoke Romanian and would only cook Romanian stuff. If I went to her and I was like, "Can you make me mac and cheese?" she would make it with like Romanian cheese and bacon, which arguably is better mac and cheese than like
I was
the
gonna
Kraft
say
stuff.
like
It
that
is
shit
good.
sounds pretty good.
But it's not what like typical Americans would think of, you know.
Okay, gotcha. I feel like it's reasonable then that now you're not really eating a lot of Romanian food. I would wager that in the future you're gonna go back. It's like a cycle
Yeah.
thing, you know? Like you have it a lot as a kid, And then, like me, I could say the same thing about Colombian food. Like, I haven't been to a Colombian restaurant in, like, a really long time. A really long time. I used to eat that shit in the house. Not shit, but, like, I used to eat that in the house. And, like, I would go out to restaurants and stuff like that all the time when I was younger.
Yeah.
So now that I'm a bit older, I don't really seek that as much. Like, when I go out to eat, I'd be fucking with, like, Mediterranean. I eat everything, but just that's not one of the main things.
Yeah. Does your family also do the same thing? I feel like Romanians are also very, very picky when it comes to dining out in their cuisine. Like, there are very few Romanian restaurants here in New York, and I feel like part of it is because anyone who goes there will, like, stick up their nose and they're like, I can make this better at home.
I feel like that is a pretty common thing.
It is I feel like it's a common thing with immigrants. And there's this one Romanian influencer who's kind of, like, been blowing up, and I've seen him a lot more on Instagram now. And the Romanian festival is this weekend. The number of people who have sent his reel to me, I think I've seen that reel in my inbox, no joke, probably a dozen times. And I'm like, please stop sending it to me. I hate going there. They overcharge for all the food except for the chimney cakes. I don't want to go.
So where's this restaurant?
It's not, the Romanian festival is hosted, like, on Wall Street by the Bull. It's not a restaurant. It's just, like, a festival, like a day, like, market that they host once every year. My church used to, like, rent a table, and we would, like, give out CDs and Bibles and whatever, and we would always be next to this chimney cake stand, and they would sell the best, like, they're cooked, like, it's literally dough that's, like, cooked on a spit. It's like a very hollow churro, and it's, like, covered in, like, walnuts and sugar and stuff.
Oh, like I was gonna ask what that is. That sounds fucking good.
It's really good.
Does it have like syrup or anything on the outside? Oh, that sounds good.
I would only go for the festival for that, and they're the best things ever.
I like, what's another, like, good Romanian food sounds kind of good. Like, I might have to look into some of these.
That's what they look like.
Oh my god, that's like art though too.
They're really, and they're covered either with, like, coconut or
that is literally
almond
like
sugar.
art.
Like, they're really good.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And how old is that dish? Like, it's like a very traditional.
I think so. It's Transylvanian, which could mean it's either Hungarian or Romanian, because Transylvania has been, like, a territory that was used to be like in Hungary, and then Romania took it. And I don't know too much about the Eastern European history of it, but we never had this in my family growing up. It was only until we went to, like, this Romanian festival when I was in my, like, teens, like in middle school and early high school, that I first tried it. And I'm like, Mom, how come you never made it? And she's like, I don't have a spit to cook this in. Like, you have to, like, literally put it around. It's almost like it takes a lot of work, and these people have, like, industrial ovens because they run a bakery. And my mom's like, I don't have this unless you want to go back to Romania. We go to the mountains and cook it, and, like, your uncle's
that shit's not easy to make at home. Yeah,
but it tastes so much better when you're, like, in Romania.
So Transylvania is a territory in Romania?
Yeah.
Okay.
My family is Transylvanian. People, I always joked that I was a vampire, because my family's from Transylvania. But it's like, it's almost like a county or a state.
Okay. But that is, like, that's legitimately where, like, the Dracula is supposed to, or is from. Was it based off of, like, a actual person?
Based off of Vlad the Impaler. He was like
the Russian Tsar, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Was he a czar? He was some type of tyrant or something. But I should know this history. I read, like, a whole book on it.
I know that he used to like, impale people slowly while they were alive, and then he used to drink, like, the blood. He was like I knew some stuff about him. Like,
yeah.
Didn't he have mercury? Was it him who had mercury poisoning or some shit?
Maybe.
Or was that
He just had a lot of iron from all that blood.
Or was it Rasputin? Might have been them. Whatever. So one of those. Yeah. Two. One of those two.
I still remember meeting people at Fordham who didn't think Romania was a real place.
What?
Yeah.
Who?
I don't remember who. It's obviously people not worth remembering, but, like, I wouldn't be. They're like, where are you from? Like, you have, like, or, like, I would talk on the phone with my mom or something, and they're like, are you born here? I'm like, yeah. Like, my parents are from Romania, and they're like, Armenia. I'm like, no, Romania. They're like, that's a place, and I'm like,
what?
Did you go to high school?
Why did I wait? But, like, even if I've never heard of a country that someone's from, I feel like I could be like, oh, like, I wouldn't say that's not a place. Yeah, I'd be like, where is that? What do you mean that's not a place? Like, you think I'm lying? Like, I'm making this shit
I have to, like,
up?
convince people of my ethnic lineage.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what fucked me up? Like, this is how stupid I am, though. I didn't realize Persia is not
a place.
Like, it's no longer a place.
Yeah.
Now it's modern day. Oh my god. Give me.
The gears are turning.
No, this is really bad. Hold on.
It's like the Ottoman Empire. Like, no longer.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
Persia? Where is it?
It's not Lebanon. No. Wait. No. Wait.
You're looking at me as if I know the answer.
You don't know? Oh, I thought you knew.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay, good. So we can talk out loud here. Wait, it's like one of those. It's in that region of the world. You're correct. I can't remember this now. This is pissing me off.
Like, Turkey?
No.
Is it near Turkey?
I don't think it's Turkey. What's the name? Give me like. Is there any country that starts with the letter N?
First one that came to my mind is Nigeria. That's not even in Europe or Asia.
Oh my God, this is killing me.
Nepal?
No. Fuck. We'll come back to this. At some point, it's just going to pop into my head. Wait, so where have you been in the past 2 years? So my number one was Iceland. Your number one, you said Korea, which is a place I want to go to.
I don't think Korea. Korea is definitely, I would say top 3.
Okay.
But I did get COVID there 4 years late, and that kind of dampened the experience. But it was great.
Where in Korea did you go?
I stayed in Seoul. We took a bullet train in Busan. I went with 2 of my coworkers because at my old job, we used to have, I mean, they still do it. At my old job, they have this like employee retreat where they get everyone across the global offices together for a few days. On the marketing team, it's the most brutally exhausting experience because you have to set up footage and you're literally using this to like push like employee culture and like share everything on social. But like the behind the scenes work of it is a lot of work versus someone who is not privy to planning the event. They're just like flying there for a work conference. The first one was in Hawaii, but it happened when I took bereavement leave, so it just didn't go at all. And then the second one was in Whistler, Canada, which was really cool. And the last one that I went to was in Australia, which was nice.
Damn.
Yeah. And that was the last international one before I left.
So we got to call you Globetrotter from now on. Like, what the fuck is going
Mrs.
on
Worldwide.
here?
Okay, in the past
Hold
2 years.
on.
Let me think. In the past 2 years.
Yeah.
In the past 2 years.
Go ahead, flex real quick. Hard flex.
It's literally just post dad death because it's been 2 years. Like, I feel like travels have just skyrocketed since then, and that's a whole other story. Israel in 2022, and then I had, so with the thing of the work retreat, like it would be the second week of January, and the 2 weeks after Christmas, the offices would be like shut down. Okay. With like the legal and engineering and security teams and like the necessary teams being online, they just kind of like said, hey everyone, like happy holidays, take 2 weeks off before our retreat. And I would use those 2 weeks to travel. So Israel, and then I went to Ireland, Paris, what else?
Holy fuck.
I did, last year, Ireland and Paris. Okay. A lot of Florida. I had like 4 weddings last year. So, and 3 of them were in Florida. One was in Texas.
Where in Texas?
San Antonio.
Oh, have you been to Austin?
Mm-mm. That was my first time in Texas.
I loved Austin.
I had like a 13-hour layover on my way to Korea in Texas. I didn't even leave the airport.
In Austin?
Yeah, I think in San Antonio also.
Oh, okay.
But like if it wasn't like Austin, and if it wasn't overnight, I probably would have gone out and seen the city and stuff. But I had like a suitcase with me and everything.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I threw you off track. Sorry. So you were saying Florida, Texas, on top of.
That's like all the. I'm not counting the domestic. Wait, I actually have a note in my phone of all the flights I took last year, because it was a lot.
Okay, so in all the flights, have you noticed with all this Boeing shit on a sidetrack while you look at that about fucking people getting murked who come out talking shit about Boeing planes? And then have you noticed while you're flying an increase in like turbulence or like shaky shit?
Lately, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I feel like it's either the pilots are less qualified or the wind has just gotten worse.
Yeah, because something with COVID and the airline prices tanking and everything, and like there's like a pilot shortage, that on top of the fact that the fucking Boeing planes are like getting fucked up.
Yeah.
And I think someone was telling me, I think Hannah was telling me about how something with global temperatures rising created some more like jet streams that were more volatile, or something with the wind system where it creates less like what is it called, laminar flow coming up. That's how you get the plane to, I guess, like to glide smoothly. Yeah. And then turbulent flow is obviously turbulence.
Interesting.
So
okay.
I think that shit disturbed something with, like, I don't know. overall wind patterns around the world.
Well, I haven't flown on a plane that had the window blow off yet, so I'm fine.
But have you had like a really scary fucking like shaky experience?
I've never had one where I was like actually scared. I've had bumpy rides and it was like really like rough landings, but I never had one where the plane like dropped 50 feet or something like that, and I was really nervous of like, oh my God. And my rule is like, if I don't see the flight attendants panicking, I'm not going to panic.
Okay, yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
I also am, one of my friends, like the friend that I started our marketing agency with, she's afraid of flying. Like, she has to take a Xanax every time she flies, even if it's just something domestic. Like, she hates flying anywhere. If I fly, I'll knock out. Or, like, I'll just be clearing out, like, my camera roll. I'm like, I feel like I'm a decent flyer. And I just checked. I did 24 flights in last year. But a lot of them were also, like, connecting flights to things. And that also sounds like I did 2 flights a month. I did not.
Wait, so 24 flights?
Yes.
Is that, like, you're including, like, there and back? So round trip? Or is that just...
round trips.
Okay.
So it was Dublin to Paris, Paris to Dublin. So, like, I went to Dublin, and then in there I had a round trip to Paris, then back home to New York, and then New York to Whistler, and I had, like, a layover in Denver. So that was 4 flights round trip.
I know you have hella fucking points on these. I know you got some travel hacks. We're gonna have to talk about this. I'm not putting y'all on. Sorry for the 2 people watching. You're not gonna get to hear these. I'm gonna need to hear these travel hacks afterwards.
I don't have a lot of them.
There's no way.
Here's
24 flights.
Okay, well, to be fair, work paid for the conference, like the ones that I went to stuff.
True. But
I opened a credit card to fly to Greece last year when I
Sapphire?
did. No, I already had Chase Sapphire.
Oh.
Okay. Sorry.
No. Don't apologize.
No,
Don't apologize.
It was what was it? American Airlines, and it's like it was like you have to hit a certain minimum, and then you get like 40,000 bonus miles.
Okay.
And the minimum was the cost of the flight to Greece, and then the one-way ticket I had to Korea, because my work paid from Korea to Australia, and then Australia to home.
You just named. Okay, so how many countries in the past 2 years have you been to? So we got Korea,
Ireland, France, Greece, Cyprus. I think just Greece and Cyprus. In the past year or 2 years?
2 years.
I'll count Israel as well. Canada, Australia. Did I say Korea? I can't remember.
No, you didn't. I
Korea. Did. So then that's 8.
In the past 2 years?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh.
Did I say? I said Israel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to go again last year. That did not work out.
For obvious
reasons. We were on our way there. I used this Bible study commentary online, and they had like a Holy Land cruise that they were advertising. And I was like, this sounds cool. Clicked on it. It was sold out. And I'm like, well, if it's God's will, like divine intervention, I'll sign up on the wait list and I'll get a room. And so they reached out. They're like, yeah, we have room. You can room by yourself for $6,000, or you can room with someone for $4.5K. And I'm like, well, that difference is my flight. Murder's against the Bible. Yeah, I'll room with a stranger. And so I roomed with like a 76-year-old woman for like 10 days.
Okay.
Miss Cheryl owes me $75 from that trip, but she was a very nice lady.
She gypped you for 75 beans?
Yeah. Our room had like $100 cruise credit, but it was per room, not per guest. And so she used it all at the spa. She couldn't use like half and half. So she used my $50, and then I rented a car for 50 euros in Santorini, and she didn't pay me her half of that. But she's great. I'm still friends with her on Facebook.
Okay. We gotta watch out for you, Miss Cheryl.
Yes.
Yeah, we gotta watch out for Cheryl. Everyone on Facebook, make sure you don't split anything with her, because we'll know she'll casually, conveniently forget.
Yeah,
we got our eyes out for Miss Cheryl over here now.
No, it's fine. So the cruise started and ended in Greece. This story is actually great. Solo traveling at its finest. It was supposed to be, the original itinerary was Greece to Israel to Egypt to Turkey, and then back to Greece. So it's like different.
That's crazy.
Oh, Turkey! I forgot. I went to Turkey too.
Okay, so that's 9 countries.
Sorry.
The tally's at 9. You're 1 away from double digits here, Alex. This is crazy. You're about to fucking remember one other one. Watch.
No, I'm not. I did go skydiving last year, but that was domestic.
What the fuck? Okay. I'm not that interesting of a person. I've only been to close to 10 countries in the last 2 years and fucking jumped out of an airplane. What the fuck? What are you?
Do you want another curveball?
Okay, go ahead. Throw it. Why not? I'm already fucking. Go ahead.
So.
I'm at 2 strikes already. Just strike me out here. Go
So
ahead,
when my dad died, I took his taxi.
Oh, jeez.
So that was my first car, a retired taxi.
Was it like a cab?
Yeah, like a yellow. It was literally a bald taxi. I just took the ad off. He died with a stripper ad on his car, which is kind of funny. So I took the ad off.
Oh my God, this is an incredible. Okay.
I don't have a photo of it, but when I was in Dublin, my sister's friend was getting married in New York, and she was living in Florida at the time. But she flew up for the wedding, and I was like, yeah, just take my car. It was in Queens. On her way back home, she got into an accident and totaled the car. So
the cab?
Yeah.
Is she gonna pull a Cheryl and not pay you back for the?
I'm still waiting. It's fine. No.
Did you have to junk the car?
Yeah, we had to junk the car.
No.
So I literally got back from Ireland. I had to go sign the car for junk because it was under my name. Like my mom and my sister couldn't do anything, so they had to pay for it to be. They had to pay for a totaled car to be stored somewhere in like a lot in Queens until I had to come and sign.
That's bullshit.
And then I went to Canada. It was like all in the span of 3 days. I got home from Europe. I signed my car over to be junked, and then I went to Canada.
And that was like your dad's like he left that like for you. That's super sweet. And that's
not by choice, but he like it. That car had like it was a stats wise it was a 2014 Toyota Prius.
Okay.
It had like 270 miles on it. Like 270,000.
Damn, that's like 270,000.
He drove it 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. This was like a taxi car. This is like his work car.
Yeah.
That thing was held together by duct tape and a prayer. Like I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did.
Damn. Toyota, but Toyotas are known to go. Like,
yeah.
There's a couple actual Toyota cars that are like million miles.
That
Did you know
one,
that?
I didn't know.
That like
Million?
legitimately, yeah. There's a couple.
If I ever get a car again, I'd probably
happened
get the Toyota. Like even a Prius, as
Yeah.
much as people make fun of them.
No, Toyotas are super reliable. I mean that manufacturing is insane. But your dad, you said your dad was sick?
Yeah. He had stage 4 colon cancer. He did
Oh,
chemo
my
for
God.
like 2 years, and then, yeah.
Was there any like particular do you think it had to do with like sitting in a cab for so long?
I don't know. He refused to go to the doctor. Like, his mentality was, he just hated the doctor, hated the dentist. He was a stubborn old European man who just like didn't believe in medicine. And he only went to the doctor because he could not get up that day. And he like called his friend's son and was like, take me to the hospital. They had to give him 6 liters of blood because he lost that much blood from like the cancer that was just
Holy
like eating
shit.
him from the inside out. And he had like a blood clot in his leg. He literally could not stand up. Like, this man was like at death's door when he went to the hospital.
Fuck?
And they're like, yeah, it's stage 4. And we're like, well, we told him to go like for months, if not years. So this was just purely him just being stubborn and refusing to acknowledge something was wrong. And he died on like a Wednesday morning, and he wanted to go to work that day. Like, he literally like couldn't even stand up on his own 2 feet, and he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go drive a cab for 12 hours. I am shocked that he never hit anyone, because he did not have any strength.
Okay, question here. So what was when he went to the hospital that day, that it was already at stage 4?
Yeah. So he went to the hospital. He was diagnosed in November 2020.
Okay.
So it was like prime pandemic hospital time.
Oh shit.
And they literally admitted him into the hospital, and we could not go and see him for like 4 days. Because he was in the ER and like in ER hospital beds for like 4 days until they finally did all the tests, gave him 6 liters of blood. And they were like, and then he finally called us. He's like, yeah, they're giving me visitors now. Now I have a room. I have cancer. I'm like, great, cool. We're on our way. So, yeah, it was prime time then.
And then from the time that he was diagnosed till he passed, how much time was that?
I think it was a year and a half. It was November 2020. He died May 2022.
Did he ever go into so you received chemotherapy? What's the remission like?
No, he was way too far gone for that. Like stage 4, I feel like that was like already a death sentence. And at the beginning of it, he was like, I'm gonna fight this. Like, he was very positive about it. But in this last like few weeks of his life, like you could see he was like a shell of his former self. Like, not to be super dark, but like it was eating him from the inside out. And it was also just like hard for us because you're seeing someone slip away from you, but you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And it's also like you're mad at this person for not taking care of themselves sooner, and you have to deal with it. And my mom was a saint. She was a nurse, just like cleaning up after him, and it was just like one of the hardest parts of the past 2 years. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean that's emotionally something very heavy to go through, for sure. I can't even imagine what that's like, and I mean, was it difficult, like, in those times where he was fighting it, and then you could see that he was starting to kind of lose the battle, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah.
When his health really started to decline, do you think that the process of drawing that out was like harder or easier in a sense for when he finally passed? Because it was more like, at that point, I guess, kind of like peaceful.
Honestly, I don't know. I feel like, so when he was diagnosed, it was in 2020. He left the hospital, I think, a few weeks after that, and he went back to working. He worked more hours when he was sick and on chemotherapy. Like, he literally had a port in him, and he would have to go and get almost like a portable IV to like be plugged into his chest for 48 hours and then go, and then they would take it out. And then I think every 2 weeks he would have to do chemo. And then when he was hospitalized in 2020, he did a couple rounds of radiation therapy. And they were like, well, it's slow growing. Like, it's clearly been in his system for a few years. So, like, it's probably not going to get any worse. I don't think there's anything worse than stage 4 aside from death. And so he went and worked harder when he was sick than before his diagnosis. So I think he just wanted to take his mind off of it. And I feel like we saw him even less and less because he would be working all the time, and he would just come home late, go to sleep, wake up, and just do it all over again.
Damn.
He passed away a Wednesday. Monday and Tuesday, I was working late. And usually when I would work late and he didn't have, like, a passenger or whatever, I would be like, hey, can you come pick me up? He came to pick me up, and normally after I got my license, he would let me drive, and then he would, like, sit in the passenger seat and, like, count all, like, the transactions for the day and, like, how well he did and whatever. He didn't even have the strength to get out of the car. So he drove us home those 2 nights, and I had to physically carry him into the house because of how weak he was. And this man was, like, over 6 feet tall. So for him to, and he, like, passed away, he was just, like, skin and bones. He used to have, like, a gut, like, a beer belly. Like, that went away so fast in the last, like, few months of his life. And I had to carry him home into the house. Like, he just, and he wanted to go to work the day he died. Like, he refused to stay home because he was worried he was going to, like, die alone. I think that was really it. Because thankfully, my sister, and I were all home when it happened. Like, my mom had just found him in his bed because he woke up early. She, like, gave him breakfast, and then she went back to, like, working on something. And then she was, like, trying to wake him up. And then she kept calling him. And then, like, she went into the room, and then she found him. And then they resuscitated him and took him to the hospital. But my mom and I were like, we just signed a do not resuscitate, because it was at that point we were like, what is the, what's the point? He was a vegetable at the hospital. Like, he died in the house, and then, like, they restarted his heart, and then he just flatlined in the hospital, like, 10 hours later.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so I'm so
Yeah.
sorry to hear that. I'm sorry, for your loss and that you had to go through that.
Yeah.
That's insane. Like, that. It's funny how, like, in that, though, the silver lining to that is that it sounds like your dad is kind of like, he was a man who took his life he lived it the way he wanted to live it.
Yeah.
Like, he was
no one could tell him otherwise.
He was like, not even cancer. He was like, fuck that. I'm going to work.
No.
I'm doing that. He never refused. It sounded like he never gave up. Like, he refused to stop letting his life be fucking interrupted and just completely ruined by the sickness. Like, he was just doing, that's like,
and that was for his, like, both to his benefit and to his detriment. Like, I feel like him working so much gave him more of a sense to keep fighting, but at the same time also made him deteriorate so much faster because he just wouldn't stay home and rest. But also, what else can you do? Like,
I mean, stage 4 colon cancer, what is the percentage? Like, when people get diagnosed with that,
I don't know.
What is the percentage of people that make it a year and a half?
I don't know. I think the doctor gave him, like, a few months too.
See, and I don't know, something about that. I feel like your dad was just like, no, fuck that, and he just pulled like a boss move.
But he also, like, my dad was an alcoholic for years, and so he when he got out, he was in the hospital for I think 2 weeks and didn't have a single drop of alcohol, and then he got out and then he went back to it. But he was drinking a lot less after. I think like it got to the point where he used to drink he used to drink a lot, and then it got to the point towards the end of his life where he would just open the beer can and like barely even take a sip because he just physically couldn't anymore. And I think that also was very detrimental to his health, and he just did not want to accept that part of it. And I think that's like also just living with a parent who is an addict of some sort or like an alcoholic is just also not easy. And you also just have to learn that it's like you can't do anything about it. You just have to sit there and like watch them suffer because they won't listen to anyone else, so to speak.
Okay. So do you think his addiction had anything to do? I mean, it sounds like you do think so, that like the alcohol played a role into that sickness?
I think so. And it was also I've always wanted to, me and my dad's closest brother, like we always talked about writing a book about his life, because he also like he escaped communism. Like he brought his entire family to America. Like he was the first one to come to America. And he escaped Romanian communism in the 80s, where it was like illegal to leave the country.
So you're first generation immigrant, right? Or sorry, first generation American.
Yeah.
The child of immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
I think I technically am, but I don't know what.
Were you born here?
I was born here, but my parents weren't. They came when they were like teenagers.
Yeah. So you're first generation.
That's what I thought, but someone else told me some other definition that I guess they were fucking wrong with. Anyways, they convinced me that they were right though. So.
But it was also just like my uncle and I both like want to write a story about my dad's life, because he had so like there was so much there's so much to say, and also just like how he kind of, I don't want to say fell into his addiction, but there are many factors that led up to it that I still don't fully know.
Like the fact that like he probably had like a harder upbringing, obviously, if you're escaping fucking communism.
Yeah.
But so that's what I was gonna ask. So he was the first person in your whole family, you were saying, to come to America. Mm-hmm. So his whole story, his life story, yeah, you should definitely, because I would imagine that's insane. Like, yeah, he definitely went through some, I would imagine, danger.
He like, did. Do you like know his own family like ratted him out to the authorities? Yeah.
Can you talk about
this?
It's
like straight up like out of like a telenovela. Like so his.
Some betrayal. Oh my god. Yeah. The tea is real, bro.
So when a few days before my dad passed, I don't know what came across me. There's a box in my closet. I was about to say fridge. A box in my closet, and I found his notebook from when he was my age. So he was like 25 in the 80s. This was like right when he was in the army and like in Romania and about to leave communist Romania. I think at that time he signed up to go to the army because he would be paid well, and he was like the oldest boy of 12 siblings. 12 siblings. Jesus. He was the third oldest, but the oldest boy.
Oh my god, that's a lot of fucking. Okay, continue. Sorry.
No, and so I found it, and it was like, and this is also a man who would like, he used like a flip phone up until like we had to switch phone plans, and he just got mad because they no longer offered flip phones. He was a dinosaur.
He was just like, no, I don't want to switch.
And then I found his journal where he had like an existential crisis when he was our age. And he was talking, and there was a 10-page letter in there, front and back. This was like a letter that he never mailed while he was in the army, and he addressed all of his siblings by name, like asked them like how they were doing, like listened to the parents, like so many different aspects, and the fact that he could carry on so many different conversations. But he never mailed it because he needed money for stamps. And in that letter, he had mentioned the wedding of his uncle, and this uncle apparently. Don't quote me on this. I don't know. The Romanian authorities are going to come get me. I don't know. But his uncle got married when he was in the army, and he was like, oh, I'm so sorry I can't make it to the wedding. Like, that was what the unmailed letter said. I came to find out my dad and his brother both were trying to leave, but they both had found out, or they had known for some time, that uncle had a mistress. And that uncle ratted them out to the authorities to put them in prison. I don't know if it was because they knew about his mistress or if that had any part to play in it, but the uncle found out that they were trying to leave the country, and he got them thrown in prison.
So they actually were arrested and thrown in prison?
Yeah.
So how the fuck did they escape that?
I don't know. They were in prison.
What do you mean you don't don't know.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't
don't know. You wanna
How do you
go
not
ask
know
him?
this? This is literally the man was imprisoned in communist Romania, and you're telling me he escaped?
I think
That is John Wick level
he
shit.
served for some time, I'm sure.
No,
and
no,
then
no.
he left. I
No,
don't know. You want me to
no,
call
no,
up my
no,
uncle
no,
and
no.
ask?
How have you not asked him this? This
I
is
don't
the
know. It's
No,
also
Alex,
like
you
it's
need
one
to-
thing that like my dad would never talk about.
Okay,
too.
Alex,
I have to write this book.
Your book has to come out. You're booked for a second episode on here. I want you between right now and the next time you come on, if you're down to come back on the podcast, you need to ask your uncle how the fuck that is. Let me tell. That's a script. Sell that shit to Hollywood right now. Are you kidding me?
So he came to America. The first place he went to was in Florida in '85. He wanted to move to California to be a movie star, but then he heard that taxi business was good in New York, and that's why we're in New York.
Oh
he
my god.
And so he also, like, he came here, saved up to buy a taxi medallion. Like, he worked in a taxi garage. This was, like, before Uber was a thing. It would just be a garage full of taxis, and people would call and be like, I'm going to the airport tomorrow at 9 a.m., send a car. Like, that was Uber before smartphones. And I had found also amongst my dad's paraphernalia and, like, memorabilia. And also, I had found it 2 days before he passed. And it was, like, I could have asked him about it, but he also, like, they say he died from a heart attack. I truly think his heart stopped, but he had pneumonia. They also, like, tacked on COVID on there. I don't know. Like, thank God the death certificate didn't say COVID. It was, like, cancer, pneumonia, heart attack or whatever, something happened. COVID wasn't even on there, but they probably just added it onto, like, the laundry list of reasons that he was hospitalized. Mm-hmm. But, like, he couldn't even speak the last few days because he had so much liquid in his lungs from the pneumonia. It sounded like he was drowning. Like, he also could not sleep lying down. Like, he had to sleep sitting up. It was bad. But I could have asked him about it. I just never could. Like, the last few days of his life, like, we couldn't understand what he was saying. It was like a kid. Because he also didn't believe in going to the dentist, so he just didn't even have any teeth either. I'm telling you, this man was crazy.
Okay, your dad might not have moved to Los Angeles to become a movie star, but there has to be a movie that will be made about this man's life.
I would love that. There's a bookstore in Paris that lets you live there in exchange for working the bookstore.
Okay.
And I've always wanted to go there and be like, I want to write about my dad and, like, live in a foreign country for some time.
That is literally that's the origin story.
Oh,
that's some, like, J.K. Rowling origin story shit.
I might just do that.
You should do that. Yeah. Why not? You have the fucking... And then who's to say you can't run your business? It's, like, remotely.
I can, yeah.
So you do both. Oh, my God, Alex. That is the biggest fucking cap I've heard in the longest
it's all
time,
like my dad's story. It's not me.
It's not just your dad. It's your family story. It's your story too. It's like a part of, like, the collective group of you guys, and it's, like, insane that, like, you undersold. You undersold this curveball. I just can't. I'm still pissed about the fact that where we end off is he went to prison in communist Romania in the 80s. So Tune in next episode, and then, like, what the fuck are you talking about? You don't know how this man might have pulled off a Shawshank Redemption.
I don't think he did.
Oh my god. Okay, so hold on. Let's start.
I wouldn't be surprised if he killed someone, but I don't know.
Let's set the plot because you're over here saying I don't think he did. Let's start off with this: 25-year-old, over 6 feet tall. So we're talking about a pretty capable man. Eastern European man.
All right.
Serves in the military. Okay. That's his background. So we already know. Oh, he's a badass. Okay. We got Rambo over here. Then he gets ratted out by his uncle, who has a mistress. The evil uncle. Sorry to talk shit about your family.
I don't know about him. He's dead now.
The evil uncle gets thrown in prison with his brother, and then they somehow make it to the land of the free. That's a fucking movie.
They also, like, I think my mom had told me at some point he had lost his shoes running away from the police. This could be that time. I don't know if maybe he did escape.
No, maybe he just never had shoes because he was in prison and shanked a fucking guard, didn't have enough time to put his fucking boots on, and ran through the forest barefoot with his dogs out. That is crazy. I'm so upset. I'm actually so upset. I'm fucking pissed.
So there's he and my uncle, when they had escaped, were trying to cross the border in the middle of the night between Romania and Austria.
Oh, here we go. Here's another crazy ass.
And then they heard someone yell out, "Ho! And that's like Eastern European for like, what do you like, stop,
Yeah, like,
you know,
hey, yeah.
like, oh, and they were like, what's going on? Are they gonna shoot us? Like, what do we do? What do we do? Do we stop? And my uncle turns, like my dad or my uncle, one of them turns to the other and he's like, hole is hole, we gotta stop. And it turns out it was from Austria. They went and they stayed at I don't know what the English word for this is, a camp, a refuge place. They stayed there for a while and they worked a little bit and saved up enough money, but they didn't understand how, either they didn't understand how grocery stores worked or it was a language barrier. They went and they were trying to find food, and the cheapest option in the grocery store was like these tin cans with dogs and cats on them, and they were trying to buy pet food, and they didn't realize until they got to the checkout, and the lady at the counter was like speaking German. They're speaking Romanian. They can't understand. She's like, you can't eat this, and then like she points to like the manager, to the bodega cat or whatever, and she's like, you can't eat this, it's for them. And so my dad was like, yeah, we almost ate cat food when we left Romania.
But like they thought it was
human food, but also like
But did they think Romania it was cat and dog?
I don't know. I could also just be mistelling the story and saying that there was a cat and dog on it, but my dad was like, yeah, we almost bought dog
like
food.
Pet food, yeah.
Yeah. But my mom's side of the family was a little more fortunate during communist Romania because her dad owned almost like a grocery store.
Okay.
And do you remember in 2020 when people would line up and it would be like a one toilet paper per
like
family
rations,
rule?
Yeah.
That's literally what it was like in communist Romania. Because
Jesus.
I had to line up with my mom and she would go during the day to get toilet paper and I would have to go during the evening to get toilet paper because colon cancer needs a lot of toilet paper. And so she was like, this is just like Ceausescu, the name of the dictator that ruled at the time in communist Romania. Literally, you would have to line up and you would get rations of food for your family. And so I don't think my dad or uncle had ever set foot in a grocery store until they left the country.
Holy shit.
So, yeah. They almost
So
bought
they
dog
just
food.
never even knew. Okay, now it's
Yeah.
the story is hitting more. They just never knew what a grocery store was.
I
That's
don't
not
think
what they were used
yeah.
to.
And they're
get
also
food.
like farm boys. Like my dad's
Holy shit.
my dad's favorite song, and this is like also one of my top 10 now. It was Hotel California by the Eagles.
Okay.
And it was because he and it was like, it came out in what, the 70s, 80s or whatever. He lived in a town, and I've been to that town 8 years ago. It's probably still the same, but it's a village. Like the address isn't even on Google Maps. It's a remote village. Like they got Wi-Fi, but it's remote. And there were these rich kids across the street or like somewhere in the village, and they had a stereo and they would be blasting the songs. And my dad didn't understand English, but the words he understood was hotel in California. He didn't know Hotel California was not a real hotel, but he would walk under their window or like walk by their house every day when he was like picking up manure and stuff in his parents' farm. And one day he like told them like, that's a cool song, like someday I'll go to Hotel California. And they were like laughing at him. They're like, dude, you literally have like crap all over your boots. Like you can't even afford a stereo. How are you gonna afford to get to America? And my dad would tell the story. He's like, 40 years later, I was the only one that ever made it out of the country, and they're still there. And he literally was just like, I pulled one on them. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
That's a cool story.
That's inspiring as fuck.
That's also why I really like that song.
I feel like, obviously I've never met your father, but I feel like you're painting such a clear picture in my head of the type of person he was. So like, he really did live his life like the way he wanted it to. Like some fucking rich snob was like spinning on this idea of like, oh yeah, one day, and he was like, fuck you guys, like y'all bitches still there, like I made, like he literally carried his whole family. Now you're here because of him, killing it, doing your thing, doing your family proud. It's insane. Like his legacy is definitely something that I could see was very like impactful for you and your family. Yeah, like he sounds like a very inspiring like person. Yeah, because I feel like anyone you talk to from like communist Europe during the 80s, 70s and 80s, who's from that region of the world during that specific time period, they got some like, the people who made it here especially, they got some like crazy stories.
They got some skeletons in their closet.
Because the ones who made it out, those are the fucking real like the people who like, you know. And
my mom, like, for her, it wasn't easy either, but she came after the regime fell. Like, she came through marriage because her and my dad married in Romania, and then he brought her over here.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But he was the one who straight up, like, white-knuckled it through the border and got here. And him and his brother were, like, in Florida, and they're like, we gotta bring the rest of the family here. And out of 12 siblings, I think 11 of them are in America. And one is, like, still back at their parents' house in Romania.
Damn.
So he truly brought, and not just them, but like their cousins, second cousins. Like, I have cousins and first removed, second removed. Like, I don't even know how many extended relatives I have from his side of the family that I haven't even met yet that came to America through him. Or like,
so
because
he
was
planted the flag here.
He truly did, at least for his family.
Yeah.
And in a way for my mom's family, because my mom came and then her sister came and settled in Florida.
Oh my God, that's insane.
Yeah.
Dude, your family story is insane. That's sick.
Mm-hmm.
You really should write that book, legitimately.
I really
Because
do
I feel like
want
you definitely have like the chops for it too. So, speaking of your, wait, where how the fuck did we?
I don't remember. This is a wild detour.
Yeah, this was. We were talking about traveling. So you were saying that. Fuck! How the hell did we get here? This was crazy.
Was this the? Did I finish talking about the cruise? I don't even remember.
I don't think you did finish talking about the cruise.
I don't even think I started. That was a solo travel trip in and of itself that was just nuts. But it was supposed to be Greece to Israel to Egypt, Turkey, and then back to Greece.
Okay.
We're on our way to Israel and the bombings start happening. And there's like no Wi-Fi on the ship. You get to send one message every 20 minutes. It's very slow. And I have a bunch of people asking me if I'm okay. I'm fine. They're like, we're gonna dock in Cyprus for a bit and figure it out. First day in Cyprus, they were like, okay, we're not going to Israel anymore. We're gonna add an extra day to Egypt and an extra day to Turkey. Sorry about that, guys. And then second day in Cyprus, we're on our way to Egypt, and an Egyptian guard shot 2 Israeli tourists at the port that we were supposed to be at. So we didn't go to Israel. We didn't go to Egypt either. So we ended up going to Santorini, Rhodes, and Mykonos, and then an extra day in Turkey. Though. It was nice. It was honestly not a bad detour. And then I had another like week in Athens after, because I was like, I'm gonna be so tired after the cruise. Like I'll just rest and like recharge, and I really needed it after that detour, because it went from being like a day at sea and then 2 days somewhere and then a day at sea. It went to being like back to back to the islands. Like you only had 12 hours in each place, and then you have to be back on the ship, anchors up, and then you go to the next day, the next island, repeat it over again. So by the time I got to Athens, I was like way too exhausted. And then I booked an Airbnb with that was like a super host with laundry unit in there, because I'm like, I'm gonna clean all my cruise clothes. I wake up on the third day covered in bed bug bites.
Oh hell. Hell nah.
Yeah. And the owner tried to convince me I was the first person to sleep on that mattress, and they refused me early check-in because someone else was staying there the night before. So I got all my money back, but I had to throw out my suitcase, my backpack, a bunch of stuff. I bought like a bunch of spices in the islands, and I'm like, I'm not bringing those back. I'm not consuming those. So yeah. I'm not going to Greece anytime soon.
Oh my God. So you're telling me you had to do a detour because of
an active war zone.
End up Airbnb-ing in Greece.
Yeah.
And you get a fucking bed bug infestation. Got to throw all your shit out, so now you're bare back.
I threw everything out when I got home. Like, I literally quarantined all my... I didn't even unpack anything. I just put everything in garbage bags, left it in my yard for, like, 5 days.
Yeah, that's how you have to deal with them.
Yeah.
Because that shit's... Once they... Yeah. Oh, God, I can feel...
I'm sorry. I'm clean. Like, I didn't bring any back.
No, of course.
We're good.
No, I just, like, something about, like, parasites specifically. I don't really get, like, grossed out with bugs, but, like, tapeworms and shit, that stuff, like, and, like, bed bugs, like, lice... Just parasites in general. Just I don't really like it. The idea of it, like, it gets me.
How are you in Florida then, with all like the lizards and stuff?
Like I'm fine with like nature and like bugs, guts, gore. Like I don't really. I'm not a person who gets skeeved out easily, right? Like I'm not a sensitive person in that way, but I would say for sure parasites are like the one thing that makes me feel kind of squirmy.
I couldn't stand it.
It's nasty, dude. Like like mango flies.
Yeah.
Or like mango worm, whatever the fuck. Yeah. It's like the larva. Oh my God.
Can't do
like
that.
Those vet videos of like the dogs in like these countries, these tropical countries that get that shit. Nasty shit. Like that makes me want to fucking hurl.
I was like worried. I was worried going to Australia, but Australia wasn't bad.
Yeah, so that's another fucking... Okay, wait. So we got to answer this question. Before we get to your... I want to talk about your company, and then,
right.
we gotta wrap this up. But one last question on the travel stuff. You still need to rank your top 3 trips.
Okay.
So you've been to 9 countries that we got tallied.
In the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Got it.
So one for me was Iceland.
One for me would be Paris. It's so cliche, but I really, really liked France, and I would go back in a heartbeat. Like I would move there. I think it was really nice.
Do you know how to speak French by any chance?
Enough to get by. I feel like like when I went to Greece, everyone assumed I spoke Greek. I think it's just a Roman nose. Like when I went to Paris, people would address me in French, and then they heard my accent, they would switch to American because you can't speak French.
And they'd be snooty, or no?
Honestly,
what's the attitude with that? Because I've heard
it wasn't that bad. Like to be fair, I went with 2 of my cousins from Ireland, and I have to say, it was the most mentally exhausting trip language-wise, because I didn't want to be perceived as a dumb American, so we'd speak in Romanian the whole time when I wasn't ordering stuff in French or like asking where the toilets are and things like that. But then we would hear Romanian everywhere. There would be gypsies everywhere, Romanian tourists everywhere. I didn't realize people like Romanians love Paris, and I did not want to talk to anyone else in Romanian, so we would speak in English, and I would just take on a really bad Irish accent because I just did not want to talk to anyone in Romanian.
What do you mean? Like you'd try to actually do an accent?
Yeah.
Can you do it? Because the only Irish accent I could do is like Conor McGregor impersonation. That's literally
for me. I have a really bad habit, and my sister calls me out on this all the time, but I have a really bad habit of, if I talk to people with an accent, I start imitating them. Not to mock them, but like whenever I'm with my Irish cousins, I start talking in an Irish accent, and I start like when I go to Dublin, I just start talking like this the whole time.
Okay. That's pretty fucking good.
And it's not good at all. They make fun of me so much.
No, that's pretty good. That's pretty fucking good. It's really bad. That's pretty good. Listen, I'm from an basically all ass Irish town. Like that's where I grew up in, like the suburbs of New York. That shit's pretty fucking good.
All right.
It sounds like it definitely doesn't sound like from there, but it sounds
not straight Irish, but it's like muddled.
Yeah.
Or like when I would go to London, I would take on a bit more of a British accent. Because they would be like, oh, why don't you speak with an accent? And I'm like, I'm not from London. And they're like, oh, you could try. And I'm like, no.
But you did try. I did that shit too. When I went to, oh my God. See, so my top 3 in the last 2 years last 2 years. 1 is Iceland. 2 would be London/Scotland.
Oh, I've always wanted to go to Scotland.
I went to the Highlands, what the fuck was the name of it?
The Scottish Highlands?
The Isle of Skye. That's what it was called. And I was in a town called Portree and Staffin, something like that. Staffin.
Sounds UK enough.
Yeah, and it was a town of 51 or 75 people, like 50 to 75 people.
That's like not even one side of my family.
It is insanely small. Like when I saw the fucking town, you could literally
do they
see
have
the whole
a lot of tourism that you just happen to be there?
In tourist season, there's tourists that pass through, and there's like one small ass hotel, and I loved this experience because it really felt genuinely like a very like real genuine taste of like local living, because it's not a big tourist town. There's fucking 50 people there. We went on the out of peak tourist season too, so when we were there, it was supposed to, like, typically it's like the rainy, cloudy, overcast season. It was like late winter, early spring, March. And when we went, it was perfect weather the entire trip. We lucked out. So they were like, you guys got really lucky. Usually it's not like this. And it's like the Airbnb host that we got was like a super host. We had our own. She had like her fucking like brick cottage, right? So she has her own cottage, and we have our own separate little house.
Like a guest house?
Yeah.
That's nice.
And we got there at night, okay? And then when we opened the fucking windows or like the curtains when the sun rose in the morning, I almost shit myself. The view was that amazing. I literally was shed a tear. Like I got teary eyed because I'd never been. This is so funny. Can I tell you like the story real quick? I've never been traveling before with the purpose of sightseeing nature. Anytime I've traveled before, like in my youth, throughout my youth, it would be to visit family in Colombia, or like we'd go to like a resort or something like that, like in like the DR, or like you'd go, to a city, but not to just a remote nature place, right? And when we were there, the whole time I was telling my girlfriend, because she was the one who came up with the idea, I was like, all right, we could go, but like I'm not really looking forward to the Highlands. Like what the fuck? It's just grass and mountains, like an idiot. And then when she opened that curtain, it was literally worth it. It was just so overstimulating.
I can imagine.
Crazy. and then walking through like the mountains. Oh my fuck! And then it turns out that house, that lady who was the Airbnb. I'm like, what is Scotland when you think of the Highlands? Like, you think of, like, sheep and shit like that, right? Like, shepherds. Like, these people are shepherds. The fucking guy comes out, and I'll never forget, her son, her young son, who's, like, 11, 12 years old. She's like, oh, yeah, that's my son, blah, blah, blah. Like, this. So we come out, and then he's like, you know, he could take you up there to obviously, she's speaking in a Scottish accent. I'm not going to try to do it. But she was like, he could take you up there to feed the sheep. And I'm like, you guys have sheep? And he's like, yeah. We're like, we have our own flock
insane.
of sheep. He goes over, pours out the stuff, and then he's like, you could call him if you want. I'm like, how the fuck do you call him? He's like, just go, hey, like that. So he calls him, and then he's like, they were telling me the story about this fucking special sheep, like the smallest baby of the lamb of the group.
Aww.
His name was Lamekins. And the whole time he's like, Lamekins, come here and get your food. Like the whole fucking time yelling. And I'm like, oh my. And then they come up and I'm petting, and it's just like, you see the surface of the wool, and you go to put your hand in, and it just goes
pretty deep in,
in. I'm like, what the fuck?
They're fluffy.
It was crazy. They
lose so much weight
when you
shear them.
I love watching the shearing videos.
Satisfying.
Yeah, it's low key, high key satisfying. So 1 is Iceland, 2 is Scotland / London.
Nice.
I don't know what 3 is. 3 is probably Arizona. And then your number 1 you said is which one?
Paris. Yeah. I went there only for like 2 or 3 days.
Is 2?
2 would be Israel.
I thought you were gonna say Ireland.
Here's the thing. Ireland, I only went and I stayed in Dublin. I just stayed with my family the whole time, so that was more of a family trip than a sightseeing trip.
I've heard the food there is really good though.
It's fine.
Really? I heard it was surprisingly good.
They took me to a Chinese, like the takeout. We got like Asian takeout, and I was like,
why would you?
It was a takeout place that they really liked.
Whose idea was this?
My family.
Like from like the family that's like lives that's based out of. Yeah,
that lives there. Yeah, like I have like they're all like my aunts and uncles were like born in Romania, like, went to Ireland, but I have cousins that are born there, and so they have that Irish accent.
Oh my god! And they they did you dirty. I'm
No,
not gonna lie. That's like someone
honestly,
coming to
though-
New York, and then what would you take? That's a good fucking question. All right, can we tangent? Pause. Put a pin in this. I need to know this. If
Okay.
someone comes through and you have to, because you're a fucking tour guide,
All
what
right.
is the quintessential first thing you have to? I have an answer. Besides the pizza, besides the pizza, the bagels, the basic shit.
Okay.
Like, what do you think New York really has like good food of? Outside of like the basic stuff.
Okay, can't say pizza, can't say bagels.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay, I do say we do Chinese food pretty well.
I
Like,
was gonna
Chinatown
say.
is great.
Yeah.
And
Asian food here is crazy.
I would do a Chinatown tour once I get my license and stuff running. I'm trying to think of what else.
Asian
in
food is
terms of-
definitely
Asian food
yeah.
is up there.
There's a lot of good Mediterranean places I've been low key, and Italian too. But I'm not the biggest fan.
Italian, I feel like is
Italian-American.
it's fine. Like I went to Carbone last year and I was like, this is what you guys
Everyone
are
says
hyped up
everyone
about.
says that shit about it.
Everyone
I talk to.
I scrambled so much for a reservation. I'm like, I like it so much better at like Forma Pasta Factory in Greenpoint.
Yeah, Forma's legit. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Their fun guy or whatever the fuck, the mushroom. Yeah, that shit's fire.
I haven't had a bad debatable. I haven't had a bad dish there. It might be.
I'm not the biggest fan of Italian American, but it's like Forma's good.
Yeah.
Everyone I've fucking asked about Carbone, they're like, it's so overrated. Like it's so fucking hyped up for no reason.
There's so many annoying things, and I've noticed this a lot post-pandemic. Like the restaurant culture here, it's just gimmicks. It's all gimmicky.
Yeah,
like
I hate that.
if the restaurant isn't viral on TikTok, like, and a viral TikTok, a Keith Lee style TikTok can make or break a business here too.
Yeah.
And I'd even walk by restaurants where they would have like a TikTok contest sign outside. And they're like the like make a TikTok about a restaurant. The one with the most views and likes at the end of X date gets like $1,000 gift card to dine here. And I'm like, no.
That's
thanks.
ass. I mean, that's a good like business
It's a
premise,
good little
but like
tactic, but also like
it's corny.
Yeah.
Like you do that shit, you're corny as a restaurant. Just focus on the fucking food. Like people will come
Yeah.
naturally, and that's what you want. Like, yeah, you know. On that note, it's so funny. Now you're seeing good restaurants that don't do that corny gimmicky shit starting to get like rated by food influencers, and then they get super busy, so you can't even go to them like you used to. Like this one spot
Yeah.
in Astoria called Hamido's. Have you heard of it? It's Egyptian styled
Ooh,
seafood, and I
that sounds
love.
good.
I mean, I love all food, but I love seafood. They do a fucking what is that shit called? It's like a giant prawn, and it is the best.
Langoustine?
I think it is a langoustine. Yeah, there's no claws. It's just like a giant. Or it's I think it's actually tiger prawn. It might be a tiger prawn.
Okay.
And that shit with the seasoning, the tomato, the pepper, the oil, all that, like the garlic it's a mouth orgasm. And this fucker went and reviewed it, and now it's like hour-long lines. Ridiculous. For no reason now. So that shit does get me annoyed.
Yeah.
But, so you're saying Asian, for sure, right?
I say
That's your
Asian
answer to
food
that?
for sure. I'm not a big sweets person, but I feel like there's a lot of good bakeries and coffee shops here. Although, the cafe culture in Seoul is so much better than New York.
Okay, so is that number 3?
Honestly, I think so. I think I'll put Seoul or South Korea as number 3. I'll tie it with Australia only because I spent 2 weeks in Seoul. I spent 3 days in Australia, and I loved Australia, and I want to go back. I want to go back to both places at different seasons. It's just so far and expensive.
How long was it? The flight to Australia traveling there is like fucking ridiculous. It's like more than a day, isn't it?
It's more than a day. So I flew to Texas. That was like 3, 4, or 5 hours. I don't even know how many hours.
5-hour flight.
13-hour layover. It was the cheapest option, and it was also before Christmas, so it also cost an arm and a leg no matter what. 13-hour layover there, and then the flight to Korea from there was like 15 hours.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to Australia for this work conference. I have 2 weeks off. I'll at least pick somewhere in Asia to be like close enough in the same time zone. It was a 10-hour flight from Korea to Sydney. It was they're in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. And then we fly back again. It's like 16 hours or whatever have you to Texas. We only had an hour layover in Texas. And you have to claim your bags and recheck them in because of Australian customs. Like, you can't bring in... It's like they're even stricter coming from Australia than going there. I was running to my gate. It was also, of course, the farthest gate. I was running to my gate like I was a lead in a rom-com. Like, I almost lost my shoes, like headphones almost falling out of my bag.
Suitcases open, shit's
flying
like
out. Proclaiming my love and just being like panting and just getting in there and sitting next to my coworkers. It was great.
That's crazy. I don't know why the airlines would schedule that shit like that. Well, that's kind of goofy.
I don't know. Yeah.
So, why is Paris number 1?
Because it lived up to my high expectations.
Do you like Ratatouille?
Yeah, I mean, that's not the reason I went. It was a good movie. But it wasn't like, I didn't watch that and be like, I want to go. I think... That's
the reason I want to go.
It's great.
I took French in high school because of that movie.
I took French in high school and college, and then I worked for Belgian boys, and they spoke French, so I would just be yelling in French with them.
Damn.
Half the time.
Oh my god, that's sick.
I forgot a lot of it, but then when I went with my cousins from Ireland, I literally would just be like reading like pain du chocolat and like whatever off of the displays in the boulangeries, and they're like, oh my gosh, you're so fluent. And I'm like, I'm just reading it with a really strong accent.
No, but it's... The accent is a tricky part of it, though. Like, to sound really good, because it's very, like, nasally.
It's very, very nasal.
Yeah.
And I feel like when I speak Romanian, I get louder, and it comes more from my chest. Mm-hmm. In French, I feel like you have to force it, and it's, like, very nasal.
Yeah. It's definitely a hard accent, like a tricky accent to get down to sound like an actual Parisian or a local or like a French person.
But I can do a better French person speaking English accent than I can French person speaking French accent.
Yeah. That's
it's just
yeah, you did it before, and I was like, God damn, that's a really good accent.
Or like a Spanish. A Latino person speaking English, but you're half Latino, so I
don't
know if
do
I
it. I don't get offended. Are you kidding me? I would love that shit.
But like, I don't know if you're
gonna... shit. She said.
Pero like, yo no sé if you're gonna like it. You know
what
I mean?
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? I don't know if you're gonna like my accent or not.
No, that's fucking good. That's good. That's Queens. That sounds like a Queens.
It is.
Latin girl.
Is that Ridgewood accent is better than J-Lo from the block?
Yeah, Jenny from the block. She ain't even
orange.
She's
drink.
not even. She's not even from the block. Like, have you seen her get criticized about that shit?
I live for it. It's the funniest thing ever.
She's corny. Corny.
It's great.
Whatever. I don't want to hate on her for no reason, but she is corny. Like, that shit is kind of whack.
She's just dealing with not being relevant for the past decade.
What about What about the food in France? That lived up to the hype too? Because French people are known for their cuisine.
Honestly, I didn't go into it like the croissants and the pastries and everything were unbelievable.
Yeah,
like
I can
imagine. So our Airbnb was not next to, but it was near this boulangerie chain. It's almost like the equivalent of like Blank Street Coffee here.
Okay.
But they have they're obviously better known for like the pastries more than their coffee, and they had this like raspberry croissant that was like, I still can't find a New York equivalent, and New York has everything. I still can't find it. Just like a berry filled croissant as well as they do it, or just like a really good croissant. Like
that's
cliche.
No, but it is cliche, but it's 100% better than if you were to find some shit that was better here.
Yeah,
because it's a romanticized like memory.
It
so
is.
It's
it is though, and
way.
I feel like there was one girl on TikTok that said like, growing up, girls are either want to go to Paris, New York, or London. And I'm like, oh, I lived in New York and I always wanted to go to Paris.
Yeah.
And I went and I was like, this is great. Like, it feels like Soho, a lot of the like romantic architecture, but then there's so much history to it. But it's still very modern in many ways. And I really liked it. My cousins liked it because they were able to do a lot of shopping at like stores that they didn't have in Ireland. I also just like, I was there more for the sightseeing and stuff like that. Like I would have spent like a day in the Louvre if I could. We literally just went to see the Mona Lisa.
Damn. Yeah, Paris is for sure on the bucket list. I really want to go. I've heard mixed things on
amazing.
it. But it's definitely a place that I really, really want to go for the history and obviously, yeah.
And I think I rank it so high because I could see myself living there.
Oh, that's sick. That's the best feeling.
Like yeah. There and Australia.
Like you just feel like a buzz, like a vibe that you tune in. It's almost like you're in tune with the city when you like are in the environment, in that like, I don't know, like you feel like the heartbeat of the city, and it's just like, I fuck with this. Like, certain cities you just feel it right away. Like I felt that with Edinburgh actually. Edinburgh was like, we only stayed there for 2 days, and it was like low-key the most surprising part of the trip. Like I thought it was just gonna be like a basic, whatever. But the Gothic architecture and everything, and like there. Like oh my god, like the castle, the way they have like the Arthur Seat or whatever that's called. It's like this giant fucking hill that you could hike in the middle of the city. Yeah, we did that, and then the food there was amazing. The locals were like very nice. They were sweet Scottish people. So it was a very surprising part of that trip for sure. So you're Paris. That surprises me that you said that Paris is number one, to be honest with you, out of all the locations.
What did you think? Why? What did you think I would have put first?
I thought you would have said Korea, to be honest with you, because it's the biggest culture shock. Because you are of Eastern, like European descent, so like not that those countries are obviously very different culturally, but like Asia, I feel like, especially to an American, is a huge, like when I went to Japan, I was like, what the fuck is this place?
Love to go to Japan. I think I had that culture shock when I went to China like 10-ish years ago.
Been to China too?
I
forgot that we only talked about the 2 years. We ain't even mentioned the other 20. How old are you? 25?
Yeah.
You're my age, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We ain't even talk about the other 23.
Oh yeah, like when I went on that go trip to Ecuador and Fordham.
Oh my god, you went to that too! Oh my god. And you've been to Romania, obviously. You're double digits. Yo.
I have been double digits for a while. I'm sorry.
Drop the mic. 2 years. Drop the fucking mic. I don't even... Oh my god. This is insanity. No, but that's sick though.
Yeah. But I also feel like, I think for me, it wasn't as big of a culture shock because of my upbringing here in New York. And I think in Israel, so I went to Israel in 2022 with this musical group from Romania. They were like filming, I was in a music video too. So it's this Christian group that has been singing for like decades, and they were organizing a trip to the Holy Land. Again, it was like a guide with a tour guide and everything else, and my mom found out, and they were all flying from Bucharest. She's like, can we fly from New York and meet you in Israel? And they're like, sure. And so we did that. And there were a couple of gypsies on the trip. There were a couple of like Romanians on the trip. There were a couple of Americans on the trip that met everyone in Israel like we did. And some of the biggest culture shocks were just like how overpriced everything was. Like when we had like free time to like wander around certain plazas or streets like that and like get our own lunch and then meet back, like me and my mom could find like a pita sandwich for like €5, but then when the group organized food, it would be like €15 for the same sandwich at like some restaurant that they cut a deal with, because obviously you're bringing like 200 people.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many we were, like 50, 60 people. And they're like, hey, we're going to feed this many. We're going to bring this much customers to your restaurant, cut us a deal, and then they overcharge them and whatever. And they're like, oh, it's for tax and tip and things like that. But also the souvenir shops. Like, I have my qualms about gypsies, but like these gypsies would buy suitcases because they needed more space for all the souvenirs that they bought there.
Can you explain so
The difference between a gypsy and Romanians?
Yeah.
Gypsies
and
are
what is a gypsy, or what is that culture?
So when people hear Romanians, I feel like one misconception is like all Romanians are like pickpocketers and beggars and stuff. That's more Romas or gypsies. And I feel like gypsies, they're almost like Eastern European mutts, if you can call them. They're not wholly Romanian. They like, it's almost like Persians. They don't have a place that a country they call home. You know?
Yeah.
And they are kind of like from here, from there, from every. They're mutts in a sense. They'll speak Romanian.
Where are they mostly known to be like originated from? Is it Romania?
I think so.
Okay.
I
didn't know that.
Romania, Moldova, Hungary, like in that little cluster of places.
That region of the world.
Yeah.
That's just like their home, but they don't belong to any one of those countries.
Yeah.
Entirely, wholly.
And so like these people are also like the ones that will wear the most like knockoff name brands, I've noticed, or like they will be the ones that will be like selling the knockoff name brands or things like that.
Are you descendant of gypsies or
no?
But do Romanians who aren't descendants of gypsies have beef with gypsies?
I don't think so. Like, but you can also, if you put my parents next to gypsies, you would be able to physically see a difference.
Oh, there's a visual.
There's a visual difference. Like their skin and their features are darker.
Okay.
They're not like. I don't even know how to describe it, but like if I showed you like a picture from that tour, the group that we went with, like you could tell which ones are gypsies and which ones are not.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's not like a discriminatory thing. It's just like there are physical. You can see the differences in.
Yeah, you could just tell a difference between how certain people can tell a difference between like a Japanese person, a Korean person, Chinese person, Vietnamese person, Thai person. Like yeah, there's differences.
And so that like Israel, the culture shock for me was like. These people also like were very, not just the gypsies, but gypsies and Romanians, like these people had like never had falafel until they got to Israel. And I'm just like, we have halal carts all over the city. I was used to the food there, so I wasn't wowed by the food in Israel, I have to be honest, because it was a lot of what we have here. Like Mediterranean food is also just like stuff that I grew up eating, like baba ganoush or like stuffed grape leaves or stuffed cabbage or things like that. Like that's like stuff that my mom would make. And so even going to get like shawarmas or gyros and things like that, or even just Greek food, the Greek gyros and stuff there, I'll say were really good, but Israel didn't wow me with the food.
It's just no like surprise. It's just it's familiar. It feels familiar.
Yeah,
so
and people were also just like turning up their noses at it. They're like, what is this, like what are chickpeas, like, and things like that, because chickpeas aren't like, we don't have them in Romania, you know. So that wasn't as much of a culture shock as I expected it. And also just like the souvenirs, like it literally looks like if you walk through Times Square and instead of everything saying New York, it would just say Israel.
And you didn't like it, right? I don't like that stuff.
I don't like, it was so tacky. I think the only thing I ever bought was like a bookmark and like a notebook or something. Like my thing when I'm traveling is like I'll get a blank notebook from everywhere I go and like a postcard from wherever I go.
That's really cool. That's really cool. My thing is like I'll get like something like wearable. Like this ring is actually it's probably, honest to God, my prized possession, like my singular prized possession.
This is nice.
If I had to have one, not to say that I don't value, obviously, like I don't think I'm like a very materialistic person, but like with this, the reason why is Iceland was my number one trip is because it was the first real big group trip that me and my friends did, like all of my group of like best friends from home. That's
one of the best trips.
And I mean there were certain people missing from the group that couldn't make it, but for the most part most of the people were there. And when we were there, I brought up the idea of like, guys, we should get something. Like I got a hat from Amsterdam before. In London I got like also another hat, like the top hats.
Yeah.
And I've worn it here before, like going out and stuff, so because it's just a fun story. And then I was like, guys, what if we all get like matching rings? And they were like, okay, all right. So we went to like on the last day or second to last day, we're going around Reykjavik from jewelry store to jewelry store to jewelry store. We hit up like 7 in like a span of like, because when we got out of like the early morning tour, whatever the fuck we were doing that morning, we only had a couple of hours, like 2 hours before most jewelry stores started closing, because it was like a Sunday or some shit. We're like,
interesting.
Fuck. So we're like rushing, or it was like a Saturday, I can't remember. But point is, we're rushing And then this last jewelry store we found is this
Always the last one.
old ass jeweler.
Always the last one.
Old ass jeweler, dude. Like, this guy's dusty. And we're asking him, like...
Secret warlock, how dare you offend him?
No, but, like, it was, like, that adds to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this guy's, like, has done this for his whole life,
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming. And he's very well dressed in a suit and shit. And I'm like, do you have rings? And then we're looking, all right, so we're putting in our pinky and blah, blah, blah. What do you guys think of this? And we're looking at it, and it has, like, this ring has, like, you know, like, little flower inlays, I guess, or I don't know if inlays, or engravings is the appropriate term. But if you look at it, it's sterling silver, silver coat, I don't know what the fuck it is. But if you look at the inside, like, the grooves, you see how it's, like, darkened?
Yeah.
So that ring originally was actually black. It was dark and silver. And black and silver.
Okay.
And the way you do that is you have to hit it with like a sulfur based acid or compound, and it corrodes silver, the outer layer of silver, right? And and it was done like that on purpose. And the reason why we were like, that was the selling point, is that in Iceland, due to certain levels of like volcanic activity and like the bedrock and like the sediment that's present on the island, the smell of sulfur is like very present in the water, off the water. So like when you shower there, like the hot saunas, everything, like it smells like fucking sulfur.
Okay.
Everywhere you go, like even outside.
Interesting.
So sulfur, darkened, volcanoes, jewelry, like we're like Vikings, like Lord of the Rings, like everything's connected, and we're all like nerds about that shit too.
We need it.
Like Skyrim and stuff like that. So we're like, we need to get it. We all got it, and we have like a picture of all of us in Reykjavik like this.
That's cool.
Like with the fucking rings in the air. So that's why like these memories, like you were talking about the books. Sorry, I just
No, that's fine.
threw us off
That's
course.
like the best. I think, like traveling teaches you the most about yourself and other people. I think.
Yeah, it's
and
a
like
really good bonding thing.
Yeah, and the souvenirs are just like a testament of it. Like I got this the smaller one. I got this one in Santorini.
Greece.
Yeah. What
this
other
one?
Santorini is there?
I know that was a dumb fucking question.
But they clasped it. They didn't
Which
like
one? Oh,
weld
this
it.
one.
This one I got from like in Brooklyn
Okay,
somewhere.
gotcha. And then this one,
Yeah.
that's nice. See, and then every time you look at that, you remember all the memories you made in fucking Greece on that trip. That's the
bed
shit.
bugs and all.
Maybe not that far. Imagine we look in the microscope and there's like a little bed bug stuck in
There's
the
like an
fucking...
egg in there.
Ooh!
Sorry.
Burn the... We gotta take that off. We gotta take that off, dip it in
Just
alcohol,
purify
and then we could re-weld it or reclass
I'm pretty
it.
sure my mom boiled me like 5 times when I came home.
I'm so dead. Okay, before we wrap up the episode here, I did want to talk about your new business that you just launched, because 25, quarter of a century old, and that's not a common thing to be doing right now. I think that's super inspiring, for sure. And I want to ask you, so like, you started this with a friend, right? Safe to say, coworker, peer, originally turned friend, obviously. And then you guys decided to launch this agency together. I feel like that is the perfect thing, because like you do have so much, like I said before, knowledge of like media, digital media, social media marketing, and just business sense. Like you're like a savvy person. So like, what was the main driver of you saying like right now, just taking that risk, so to speak, and then like just really betting on yourself and doing all of this and taking that big bold step forward to actually get this thing started?
Both of us left our jobs the same week, and we were just like, let's do that. No, I think honestly, we had toyed with the idea ever since we became friends at my old job, and we were always talking about it passively, the same way I was always talking about getting my tour guide license passively. And I feel like if there's a quote from a book that I really like, and it's like, I don't remember what book it is, but an author I really like, and it's like, if you keep waiting for the perfect time, like you're gonna be waiting for the rest of your life.
Damn.
And like there's no perfect time. Like if you keep waiting for things to be right, then like you're gonna miss your opportunities.
Yeah.
And I think I have that same mindset with traveling, where I'm like, my mom was like, stay home, like after, especially
Save
after that,
up, do this,
save
do
up,
that,
do
yeah.
that, this and that. I'm like, I'm never gonna be this young and have the chance to go to another country again, you know?
Yeah.
I want to be like old and wrinkly and tell my kids how I got bed bugs in Greece, or like
Yeah.
avoided an active war
Like
zone or
all
something.
these stories. You're gonna have a fucking book written about you.
I'll write it. I'll start it.
Or you'll No, but it's very true. Yeah.
Like you can always make money back. You can always regain energy, but you can't regain time.
You can't
back.
buy time. You can't buy memories.
You can't buy
either.
time, no matter how rich you are. And so I think with the agency thing, I think I had toyed with the idea for so long of even just doing it myself. Like when I was freelancing during the pandemic, like when we left like even during college, like I would be like doing food shoots and working with restaurants and stuff, and that's like kind of what my friend and I are doing now. Like we're doing a lot of marketing and like small business promotions and stuff for cafes and things around the city.
That's super cool.
Yeah. And then also just like combining our passions and just putting it all under one thing. Like she's a big dog lover, and so she took photos for like an adoption agency. Her sister's boyfriend is like a barista that teaches classes to baristas that are like working for cafes that are opening up. And one cafe was opening up, and they're like, we need marketing help. And we're like, cool, we'll do it.
And that's all stuff that you could add to your resume. You know, like add that, all that experience as part of like your pedigree. Yeah. And like just speaks to your expertise on that. So that's super cool that, you know, like those experiences to develop like your, I guess, career, right? Those skills are really useful to have. You've always had a knack for that stuff though. Because I even remember like the fucking best pictures I've ever had taken of me. I don't think I'm a photogenic person either. You took them. And I was embarrassed as fuck. Like, 99% of those pictures were ass because the whole time, like, I just could not
didn't know what to do.
I didn't know. Like, I still get, if you were to be like, all right, start posing, I'm like, like,
and we were like with Cynthia, and she was like posing every turn.
Cynthia, she's been on the podcast before. She's talking about like her modeling experience, and I'm like, so how do you do that? Because like, how do you just on a like on switch. Command? Yeah, I can't do that. But you somehow, got like more than a couple really decent shots.
We'll do it again. We gotta do another.
Oh, I don't know if I could do it. I'm scared.
You're like, I can't stomach it.
You don't see this ugly ass mustache on my fucking. I can't be showing my. Well, I'm on fucking camera right now, but like a photo shoot, I'll die. Like I'll literally just cringe up into a ball and be like, "Fuck." I mean, I'm down to try it, but
shave it and then we'll talk. I don't know if that's the one thing that's bothering you.
No, I'm just. Nah. This is like the second podcast I've done with this mustache, so.
You're like, I'm trying it out. It's a test drive.
No, I actually really like it. It's just funny because, like, people either love it or they fucking despise. There's no in between.
Yeah. Like, I think it looks fine. I think it looks good.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
So
I'm on the positive end.
Thank you. So back to your so like now, how do you get clients besides like? So it's most of it's like based off of like personal connections and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's honestly as much as like reaching out to places.
Oh, that's my girlfriend. She just got home from work. What time is it? Is it 7:30?
Yeah, almost.
Okay.
Dang, we've been talking for like.
Yeah, we've
been
yapping.
Episode.
We've been yapping.
Oops.
Can you just go? We'll wrap this up. But can you just go into the bedroom? Yeah. Sorry about that. Or actually, like go wherever. But yeah. So, anyways, back to the. That's not gonna be cut out, by the way, in the final cut. Don't worry.
That's fine.
We're just.
What were we talking about?
We were talking about like how do you get clients and stuff like that.
Right. I mean, we're still early stages, so it's a matter of just talking to people and seeing what they need. Mm-hmm. And also just I guess our network. Yeah, I just reaching out to people. The worst they can do is say no.
Yeah.
It's almost like applying to jobs. It's literally just pitching yourself as like, hey, do you need marketing help? We can do this. Do you need do you need a brand design or things like that? So there's a bunch of different things that we, like if someone came and asked us, can you do X, Y, Z? And we were like 80% confident we could do it, we'd be like, yeah, we can try.
I mean, a lot of the job too is like learning on the job. And you know, you do have to, you can't be afraid of failure and making mistakes. Like you can't, that's how you learn. And that's how you rapidly gain experience.
I have learned more, like I haven't gone back to school because I'm like, I have learned more in like work and like real life experience and like sitting in a classroom. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, for sure. When you're actually like, when your own personal reputation's on the line, when you're like on your toes and you gotta like learn quickly, like in the moment to actually use the information, not just like store it and be like, in case you need to know, you know what I'm saying? Like in school. Yeah. Or just vomiting up information. That's the stuff that actually sticks with you, and you know. Yeah. That's the important stuff. Yeah, for sure. Well. Do you know? You don't know the outro, I'm assuming, because no one watches this shit. But and don't feel bad about that. I'm just saying. I'm literally. The outro is snap and point up when I say like the cue and outro music, like literally just this. Yeah, literally just that. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we wrap? You need to come back, by the way, if you're down to, because this was. I'm down. This was amazing. You literally hit me with 45 fucking curveballs to the forehead. That was so like fun. I'm gonna have a welt tomorrow, right in the center. Crazy. You're gonna be like, absolutely insane. That was a lot. It was really. I know. I do have to say, like the past 2 years. Like, since I left college, my life got way more eventful.
Yeah, but the good and unfortunately the bad too. But I mean, that all, I think all that at the end of the day does make you into the person who you are. And I don't want to say it's because of that, but I do think like those hardships that you went through, like through dealing like with the loss of your father, but also seeing him be like the type of person who is very in command of his life. I feel like that might have informed the reason why you're so driven, and or at least partly, right? Because you are really ambitious, and like you said, like I can't imagine going through that, like with obviously losing a parent, and obviously I can't even imagine having the guts and like the boldness to just be like in New York City, because it's not like we're in some cheap this is like where you make it or you fucking the world breaks you. Like,
Yeah,
this is the
that's
place,
true.
right? And you were like, fuck that. Like, this is the time. I'm starting my own business, living like some boss ass shit right now.
Yeah, I mean,
Globetrotter.
I've survived 100% of my worst days. What's another one? Like,
That's a good mentality to
keep
have.
going, you know?
That's a winner's mentality for sure.
only way out is through.
That's a fucking quote. Is that an original?
I don't know.
No, we'll say it's an original. We'll say it's an original. That's a perfect way to end it. The only way out is through. That's fire. Okay, there we go. All right, well, if you made it to the end of the episode, thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to, like, comment, subscribe, all that social media bullshit. Until the next one, cue the outro music. There we go. And we'll see y'all later. Deuces.